My name is Robert Mahoney. I'm a longtime art critic, and I'm talking here today with Kendall Shaw. As I understand it, in the summer of 2012, you had finished a show at the Scoto Gallery, and you became interested again in this abstract work that you had done in the 1960s.
Yes.
Okay? And then on the basis of that, you began to revisit the idea and create a whole series of paintings, like the one we have behind us, the Cajun Minimalism paintings. And I came into the picture at that point. I then wrote an article called Reprise, Kendall Shaw's Cajun Minimalism.
Yes, thank you.
And now we are here to take it a little further, to explore some of the ideas that I thought I picked up in the work. And you're going to kind of provide us with a history of this body of work. So my first question is about when you were talking to me about this work, you used the phrase color energy. And this really intrigued me. It seemed like a different idea about color than was frequent at the time. So I need you to explore that idea a little bit, where it came from, how you then applied it to painting, and then we're going to go into that a little further.
Yeah. It's shorthand.
Okay.
In the English speaking world, we like to call people Mike rather than Michael.
That's right.
And there's color. The white light is all colors. So the white light hits this green, hits this red. With the green, the red is absorbed, and other colors are absorbed.
Okay.
But the green is the color that forces that out. Now, when you talk about color and energy, I've been thinking about that a bit. Why not you, like Dan Flavin, he is true color energy, colored lights.
Right.
But I'm a painter. I like canvas.
So you were determined to explore the idea of color energy in painting with canvas.
The green light is reflected. The other lights are absorbed. So it's the color is the reflected energy. See, that's what I call the color energy, is the energy of the reflected color. And I say, I react to that. Begin to understand it better.
You had a degree in chemistry? Yes?
Chemistry with physics
and physics?
Minor.
Okay.
And I did graduate studies in chemistry, going to a PhD. Then I met Louis Guglielmi, who did the painting over the mantle.
Okay.
And he's going into abstraction there. He was a surrealist, a wonderful painter, who talked about the integrity of the artist, the mission of the artist, the integrity of the artwork. In other words, art had meaning.
So you were like 30 at this, 25 or something, and so there was like an option of being a scientist or the option of being an artist, and you had to make a choice.
Yes.
Okay. But the scientific stuff influenced your thinking about art.
One summer class with him, I said this makes more sense than anything I've ever done. I'd been making paintings all my life, but with Guglielmi's message that I met the artists, they were wonderful. They taught me, particularly George Drouot. Said I needed some design help.
Okay.
And in half an hour, George Drouot, New Orleans artist who was there, and gave me a whole course in design in half an hour on a blackboard.
Great.
So I was able to catch up with the other art students. I put all my energies into that.
So I'm thinking that your idea of color energy, that he had a real important part in it. What did he contribute to your evolution?
Rothko said paintings were fragile things, shouldn't be overexposed.
Okay.
So he was careful how his work was shown. Rothko was very much of a theater person. Presentation is important in the stage. I heard about Rothko. I'd seen a couple of images,
Mm-hmm.
and I talked with him.
What kind of work did you do with Rothko when you were a student there? Was it abstract?
Yes,
It
very.
was. Okay.
I'd
And
been
what year are we talking about? 50?
1957.
Stuart Davis's idea of democracy of forms, and then your problem that forced you to use knives, so you created a very distinct form of
It was
abstraction.
buttery. I could
Uh-huh.
push it like butter and that.
Uh-huh.
And
What did he
with
think?
the
What did he
bold
think?
colors and very free. And lots of red. He loved
Good.
red.
He loved red.
But he loved color.
Okay.
He's
me
done
about-
a lot of things other than red, too. The
Yeah.
play about him is
Well,
called
what did
Red.
he talk about in terms of color? What did he talk? What, if we were in
I
a classroom
mentioned-
with them?
Because the first thing I saw, they saw of mine, it had a big red color shape in it.
Okay.
He loved it.
Very
loved
good.
it.
Very good.
And he spent my time more with me than with the others.
Oh, you were a teacher's
students.
pet. You were a teacher's pet. Good.
No, I think we
He just saw something.
related
Yeah,
somehow.
I mean that's what happens. He
When-
saw something.
But when I hung his paintings when he came to get back to that,
Yeah.
there was a wing chair that I sat in a little gallery
Okay.
and looked at it for a long time. A lot of raw canvas,
Okay.
not all filled in at all. At the bottom with some of the colors. I forget, it was blue, I remember. I don't remember the piece. However, as I sat for several times,
Uh-huh.
I was sitting for about an hour looking at it. Suddenly the red shape came out and sort of sat. It
Oh.
started to smother me,
Very
really.
nice. Great.
Rothko put a lot of emphasis on the surface. Use these big brushes, of course. His brushing is beautiful.
You then now move into the New York art world. You have this concept of color energy, and you try a few ways to make it work and realize it in painting. And then we get to the point where you enter this color field body of work that you try to do from 1965 to 1970. Those are the dates. And I want to go through the process by which you came to, that body of work. And particularly the moment where, with Edgecombe.
Time is so significant in our lives.
Yeah.
And I sort of, and the thing about energy, this vibrating, and somehow I realized this thing about not just Rothko, not Davis, but any things I did that I had feeling for a color.
So you wanted to devise a method of abstraction with which demolished the wall.
I thought the wall had to have something to make it friendly.
Uh-huh.
I like cloth, paint.
That's right. Okay, so paint would be
It's
that's right. That's right.
traditional.
Yeah.
So see, and I'm comfortable with it. It's the way we live with fabric.
Okay. So you became committed to this idea of making use of painting to break down the wall. And then you talked to me about
I happen to be in love with paint
That's
and
right.
canvas.
That's right. But you did say
A
something
love,
about
a deep love.
yeah. And then the story you told me was that you went to London. You had to give a talk, and then you came over to Ghent in Belgium, and at St. Bavo's Cathedral, you saw the arrangement of the art around the Van Eyck altarpiece, and that kind of gave you some insight into, was it the folding of the panels?
St. Bavai, the Belgium Cathedral
Yeah.
in Ghent.
Yeah. Again. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
A wonderful experience. Bring the painting
That's
to
right.
the wall.
That's right.
I didn't want it to be armored and afraid to be part of the wall.
Uh-huh.
The wall was nice.
Right.
The wall was his friend.
So you came back to New York.
I thought the painter could make lots to the wall.
That's right. That's right. That's it. So you came back to New York, and Edgecombe was the work you worked on. So tell me about Edgecombe.
Picked up some 1x2s and made some small canvas stretches and some stretches. I wanted to see what would happen if I brought the wall into the painting. And so I had about 6 or 8 panels maybe. It's lost. I never photographed it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
where it is.
And
It
this
should be in this house somewhere. Make the painting of the wall a part of the painting.
Okay.
Not the painting, not on the wall. The wall is the painting.
Right. And what did you do to do that?
It's like a couple that's together.
Right.
They're joined. Rathko. After Rathko, every painting I made had to be like a great animal, a live thing on the wall.
Uh-huh.
Not a nice Mozartian concert,
Right.
but it
a
should
big
shake
thing.
you.
Right. You got that from Rothko because he had that
Yes.
sense, right?
Shake you. More,
Yeah.
more like Socrates from
Very
Rite
good.
of Spring.
Great. So that explains that quality of your work for those
And by the way,
7 or 8 years after. Those are
yes, and let's put it, one of the things, when goes to Stratosphere, we're talking about Rite of Spring, boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, boom.
That's right.
I like life, baby.
So
know?
yeah. So Enter was an
I want-
extension of this idea.
I want life. I don't want a nice thing to soothe you. That
Right.
19th
were-
century harmony where
So-
everything is lovely.
do you have-
and put you to sleep. That's not me. What's real?
Okay. Do you
Give me-
remember?
Give
do you,
me something
do you
real
remember
about
the
life.
opening? Do you remember the opening of Enter?
Opening?
The opening show when you did like the
Very few people came.